Hello, sweet friends. I hope you're doing marvelous on this fine day. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. This week's video is just going to be a really casual getting into the fall vibes sort of thing. I don't really have a theme for this video other than like reading for fall, decorating for fall, feeling the vibes. So that's what we're doing. I think we're just gonna kind of jump in rather than do an intro where I tell you what I'm reading because I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't gonna vlog reading this book, but it sort of just fit in perfectly with the ambiance that I'm trying to create, the mood that I'm trying to create for this video. So I think I'm just gonna include it. I'm right at the halfway point right now, so it seems kind of perfect because that's when I would do the first update anyway. So I recently started reading That Dark Infinity. This is a young adult dark fantasy, little bit of romance happening so far. We're following our main character Flora, and after kind of a tragedy strikes her village, she is found by the Anku, which in this world, this is like a Witcher retelling, okay? And I don't know if I've publicly talked about this on the internet before, but The Witcher is like my favorite TV show of all time. I love high fantasy TV shows, and The Witcher is just like on its own level. So the Anku is like the Witcher in this story. He's essentially like the monster slayer of the land. He has special powers that allow him to be able to fill this position, but he doesn't want to do it anymore. He wants to die. And there's kind of been a curse placed on him by a lover from hundreds of years ago that he needs to break. And Flora kind of fits into this piece of the puzzle that he's looking for in order to help himself break that curse so that he can finally move into the afterlife. I'm assuming they're gonna fall in love, obviously. So Flora is kind of filling a very similar position to Ciri, if you've seen The Witcher. Although instead of finding this like found family element where our male main character is more like a father figure, he's more like a love interest in this case. I don't read a lot of romantasy, so I don't know if I'm gonna really like that vibe or not. We haven't really got into the like meat of the romance yet, but I can definitely feel it come in. I would say so far I'm enjoying the imagery, but the pacing feels a little bit rushed. I feel like there's things that we are going through more quickly than I would like to, and also things that we're being thrown into more quickly than I would prefer. But I feel like that's kind of just the way of the world with young adult books in general. And also the dialogue between these two characters is kind of cheesy, and I'm not sure if the author is intending to do that to make it funny or if she's actually trying to be serious. Like, I genuinely can't tell. So I'm just rolling with the idea that she is doing it on purpose. She's making it cheesy and goofy on purpose, because if not, then girl, what are you doing? I'll kind of talk to you guys more about my thoughts on this throughout the week, but so far, interesting plot, kind of the classic YA vibe, I guess. It's giving all of the fall feels, so I'm here for it. And then ideally in this video this week, I would also like to get to Lake's Edge, which I actually don't know a ton about this book. It's been on my shelves, I think, since like 2020. Whenever it first published, that's when I got this book. Like I said, I don't really know the plot, but I know that we're following a brother and a sister and a kind of gothic haunted mansion. There's some dark magic that I believe our main character's brother possesses, and she's kind of trying to protect him. And I don't know if she herself has magic or not, but there's also this like ominous presence in this haunted abandoned mansion. I don't know. Sounds good to me. Sounds like this would fit perfectly into this week's plans if I can get to it in time. This week is going to be crazy at work though, and normally I do the majority of my reading at work nowadays, so I don't know if I'll realistically be able to get into this, but this is a contender. And I'm also kind of hoping to get to Payback's a Witch, but I don't know if I'll have time to fit that in either, although I do think I can get the audiobook from my library, so I'm gonna try to do that. If I can get that, I think I might start listening to it this afternoon, because I'm gonna have to do some laundry and some chores to get my house ready to decorate for fall. And I actually thought that just while we're on this kind of goofy, silly, funny little intro, we could open my suitcase of fall things that I keep in my closet, because I'm not trying to wear like a leaf print or a pumpkin print sweater in the springtime, so I just put all my fall clothes into this baby and put them away at like the end of November. So I thought that we could bust this open. It's kind of like a shopping spree because sometimes I forget what I have in here. So I thought we could just open this together and have a fun little good time. Okay, I have some of my favorite things in here, you guys. So this is kind of silly. I got this right at the end of Halloween season last year, so I don't think I actually ever even wore this. It's just a graphic tee, but it's a Barbie pumpkin Halloween graphic tee. Isn't that fun? I think that's so fun. I can't wait to wear that somewhere cool this year. And then this is a very coveted after vintage piece. It is a Snoopy haunted house sweater. I believe this was manufactured in the 80s, and no, I'm never getting rid of this. You'll have to pry it from my cold, dead hands. This is my favorite fall sweater out of all the fall sweaters that I have, and I'm just so excited to pull this out. Oh. And then this one's also kind of a recent find for me. It's also covered in cat hair, so I apparently need to wash it. This is what the back looks like. It's just a little pumpkin patch, but then the front, isn't this the cutest thing you've ever seen? I love it. I love it. Those are my three like staple fall closet pieces. I'm not sure what else is in here. Okay, the last two very fall specific pieces that I've had put away in here, and by the way, this isn't all of my fall themed clothing. Like if it's neutral enough, I'll leave it out and wear it year round, but these are just the things that I feel like I can only wear in like September, October, you know what I mean? I know that these shirts are kind of like not cool anymore, but this isn't from like one of the fast fashion brands that adopted this style after it started to get popular. This is like one of the original ones. It's a cat one. Isn't that fun? I love that shirt. And then I also just have this, it gives me Thanksgiving vibes, turtleneck. So anyway, those are the fall staple pieces in the closet that I will be wearing probably fairly often in videos for the next couple months because I gotta get my use in. Okay, so I just stopped this clip, but then I realized I didn't show you this Halloween pillow that I thrifted today. These are also vintage, so lucky find by me, I guess. I think the only place, they're like totally out of manufacture now, so I think the only place you can get these is like through a reseller. I got this for $2. Look how good that is. The issue is, all of my Halloween decorations are pink per all of the furniture in my home, so I don't know if this is really gonna look good where I'm thinking of putting it, but fingers crossed because this is too cute to not put out somewhere, you know? Anyway, check in with you when I actually have all the decorations out. I just kind of wanted to touch base now that we have that initial part of the video out of the way. First of all, I wanted to give this book the full like cover moment that it deserves because it is a stunner. And I also just wanted to chat a little bit more about this. I've only read a couple more chapters since we last talked, but I feel like I didn't do a very good job of setting the scene, so I kind of just wanted to go into a little bit more detail. I don't think I mentioned that our main guy can't remember his name, and now kind of a subsequent curse is also affecting him, where his body is kind of like rotting from the inside out. It also turns into a skeleton during the day, which I think is kind of cool. When he lays down to rest, that man turns into just bones. So that's a fun little detail of the story. And I also don't think I talked very much about how Flora is kind of training to be his apprentice because the trauma that she's feeling from the attack on her village that has caused her to kind of end up in the position that she's in has really inspired her to want to learn the monster hunting ways of life. So in addition to traveling with our man who cannot remember his name, she is also sort of learning to be his apprentice. I don't know if that's going to kind of play into things as far as the resolution of this story goes. I don't know if he's going to decide that he doesn't want to die anymore because he's in love with her and they're going to be a monster hunting duo. I don't know if she's going to kind of take his place because she's going to realize that the world is so much bigger than she's realized in the past being a handmaiden in the royal court. Like, I don't really know how that's going to play out for her, but those are just a couple of kind of important big things going on in the story, and I just wanted to check in and make sure that I fully explained what's going on in this book. And then I'm also about 50% into Payback's a Witch, and I have to say, I usually love a witchy romance because I love the added details and elements of the plot, but I am struggling with this book a little bit because I feel like it's kind of directionless. Like, I don't know what the story's supposed to be. I thought it was like a rom-com but with like a witchy sort of competition element, but now I'm not so sure if that's the actual plot of this book. Like, I just don't really know what's going on. It feels maybe like it needed another draft of editing at this 50% mark at least. Our main character, Emmy, is returning home. She is kind of the host, for lack of a better term, of this sort of witchy competition that the founding families of her town have. She's been living her life in the human world, but it is her duty to be this kind of officiant for this magical competition. Her ex, who really broke her heart in high school and was also kind of the reason that she decided to leave the witch community, is participating in the competition this year because he is also a member of the founding family. So she sort of has so far teamed up with her best friend, who has apparently also been affected by this man, another girly who she has sort of a major crush on, and it sort of seems like that's being reciprocated back to her to make sure that he doesn't win the competition because historically his family is like the most powerful in the witchy competition and they always win. So they're like, we're going to teach him a lesson. We're going to team up. We're going to destroy him in this witchy competition. But there's also just a lot of other like random elements of the story that I feel like are kind of diluting the plot, diluting what this is supposed to be, and it's making it a little bit confusing for me to go through, figure out what's going on. So I just want to take a moment to profess my love for the Ex-Hex. I don't think it's that good of a book, honestly, but the Halloween, fall, witchy village vibes in that story are some of the best that I've ever read. If you read it any other time of the year, I think it's objectively a 3-star book. But if you read it right around Halloween or right when you're trying to get into the fall spirit, I think it's a 4-star just because it's hilarious. There's a talking cat that's a very present character in that story. And I was kind of under the impression that this book was going to be among the same vibes as that story, and it's just not delivering. And it's also not funny. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm still going to listen to it because it is a witchy book. I'm having a fun time. It fits into the theme of the video. I was able to get the audiobook, listen to it while I decorated, etc., etc. But just know I'm not impressed thus far. So that's kind of where I'm at in my reading journey so far for this week. And hi friends, I am at the bookstore and I'm going to pause right now and take you on a little adventure with me inside the bookstore. And now that we've done that, I'm gonna talk to you about those damn bookstore people who always convince me to buy stuff even though I just go in there to drop stuff off. They really don't. They just ask if I'm taking a look in the back, and then I usually say yes. So here's what I got, just two things. Both of them are fairly short. So the first one, tiny little book. This is about a man who goes into the desert and has a series of fever dream-like magical things happening with him. And this is Lauren Groff's newest book, which I didn't realize she had. The cover is gorgeous. It's like foiling on it. I'm obsessed. Similar story, actually, kind of. A girl escapes from like a indentured servitude, maybe, or some type of colonialism into the forest, and similarly, I think magical things are going to ensue. Maybe it's really just a coming of age, and that's what's magical about this story. But now that I have officially donated a bunch of books, there were a couple things that looked super interesting to me. I already forgot the name of the one, but I did take a picture of it so I could remember, and then maybe ask for it for Christmas. I'm gonna put a picture of it right here. Whatever this is called, if you have read it, please let me know if it's good or not, because it's short and it sounds super freaky, super weird, and I'm really interested in it. But if it has bad reviews, I don't want to buy it. So I need to do some more research on whatever that was. Now I'm gonna go to the grocery store, and then we're gonna go home and we're gonna chat. Actually, I decided that while I'm sitting here, we can just chat while I'm sitting here. I did finish Payback's a Witch, and honestly, didn't love it. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I felt still by the end of the book like it didn't really know what it wanted to be. And yes, it was cute and witchy and fun, but the fall atmosphere that I was looking for in there wasn't really in there. So yes, it has a witchy plotline that's very prominent, but it wasn't really what I was expecting it to be, I guess. And then the romance in here just felt a little bit forced to me, a little bit weird, a little bit funky. So I didn't love that either. I probably won't continue on in this series. I do like the town and I liked the setup of it, but it just didn't really do anything special for me. Nothing that I particularly loved. I know I already talked about it as well, but it just like wasn't funny, and it was trying to be funny and it just wasn't funny. So that was really disappointing. That was probably like the most disappointing thing of all of the things. So anyway, I'm trying to think of if I have anything else to add as far as like plot elements that I thought were interesting. The girly pop that we have the crush on, that Emmy has the crush on, is kind of like a necromancer, so that was kind of cool and fun to read her scenes. But again, they just felt like out of place of the story because it was trying to be this witchy competition thing, but it was also like, I don't even know is the thing. I don't know what this book wanted to be. Was it trying to be a romance? Was it trying to be a witchy competition story? Both seems a little much, because if we're gonna have a high stakes competition like that, like I felt like it should have gotten more time devoted to it, since it was like the driving force behind the whole plot of the book. But we actually, I feel like, only got like 5 chapters in the whole book that were actually within that witchy competition, and I just didn't care. And I also just didn't like the revenge plot that this was supposed to be. I felt like that just kind of completely got abandoned, and then the characters didn't even know what their motivations were anymore. I don't know. So those are some of the issues that I had. I'm giving it 3 stars. I have the worst sore throat because I just filmed a book on haul right before I came and dropped all these books off, and I talked for 40 minutes. 45 minutes, and like just straight talking. So my throat is sore, and I am going to the grocery store now, and I'm gonna go home and make myself some tea and read that Dark Infinity and maybe finish it tonight. So I've decided to extend this video actually another week so I can do more things in it, because I feel like I just didn't get enough time this week to do all of the things that I wanted to do and feature in this video. So I'm throwing up the unhaul that I talked about yesterday to you today, and I'm extending this one out another week. Those places were supposed to be swapped though. I have a couple things to discuss with you right now. I feel like, one, I don't look very cute right now. I just woke up from a nap, and I feel like honestly, I just haven't looked very cute this entire vlog. But I've just been kind of staying home this weekend, like staying home every chance I get, because I'm about to go back to teaching next week. So not like tomorrow, but like the following week. I will go back to teaching, which means I will get to be home a lot less. So I've really been trying to embrace being at home this week and not go out and do a ton of stuff, and just be grateful for the time that I have at my house right now, because it's gonna be pretty rare thing for me to be home during daylight hours during the week for the next 9 months or so. and I haven't wanted to put on makeup or like do my hair or put on a cute outfit if I'm just gonna be staying at home with my cats. You know what I mean? Like my cats don't care what outfit I'm wearing. But anyway, that's kind of besides the point. There's a couple books that I'm gonna talk to you about right now, and then just a couple other general updates as well. By the way, I am preheating my oven right now to make dinner. So when the timer goes off, to say that the oven has been preheated to its full extent, it's gonna be loud, I'm sorry. We're just gonna ignore it and keep talking. So last night I did end up finishing That Dark Infinity, and I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I honestly really enjoyed this, and I'm so glad because this cover is absolutely stunning. I do think that this is gonna show up in whatever the next unhaul I do is, just because it's not something I really feel like rereading again per se. There are so many other books in my life that are so beautiful that I would much rather delve into, but this was like a really solid adventure story. I thought that this had a lot of really fun, great elements that didn't make it boring or sluggish in any way. You are falling down, I just realized, very slowly, but you are here. I liked the ending. I thought it was a little bit poetic. Oh my gosh, why will you not stay up? Hold on, I need to adjust you, I guess. Okay, I think I fixed you. Back to what I was saying. This ending did have a little bit of poetic justice, nothing shocking, nothing deeply emotional, but I thought that it was cute. The romance didn't overshadow the adventure part of the story. I liked the relationship development. And it also had a lot of kind of outside of the box gender conceptions. Like they at one point go into this city and there's a king, but the king is actually a woman, and she is talking about the relevance of the title of king versus queen and how she feels like she's garnered so much more respect just because of male tradition. So if you like very openly progressive discussions like that, this would be a great choice for you, especially if you like young adult fantasy. It didn't get quite as dark as I wanted it to, but again, young adult, so I couldn't expect too much from it. I will say this did read a little bit young, not like middle grade. There's definitely some young adult books that are very similar to middle grade, and this was not on that level, but I would say it read as a younger young adult, and that was okay because I thought the scene descriptions were so beautiful and the story was so creative and inventive that it didn't bug me too much. But overall, I would have loved the writing to just be leaning a little bit more towards adult. I think that it could have garnered maybe a broader audience. It does have very few ratings on Goodreads, and I feel like that might be part of the reason why. Tinkerbell, stop eating my plant. Get down. I'm not actually hitting her, don't worry. I'm just fanning her with Comfort Me with Apples, which is just randomly in a stack on my floor right there. Anyway, the reason that I'm docking this a star is because while the scene descriptions were beautiful, the action was great, like overall the plot was super solid. The dialogue of this book was the weakest point by far, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about originally, how I was saying this dialogue is like really cringy. It continued to be that way. Like every conversation in this book, I was like, oh no, why are we talking like that? So the dialogue was the weakest part, but this isn't a dialogue heavy story, so I didn't feel the need to take off more than 1 star for that factor. I've also started reading Lake's Edge this morning, and I was kind of just waiting to get about 100 pages in before we talked and did this update so I wouldn't have to split it up twice between the day. This is giving high 5-star energy, and I don't want to like curse anything by saying that too early on because I am like 85 pages into this right now, but for some reason, and I don't know why because I haven't read it in a while, but the writing in this is reminding me so much of one of my favorite books of all time, like in my top 10 for sure, The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. The writing in this, the descriptions, like the feel of this is so similar to that book, and that's like probably my favorite fall book ever. I really need to do a reread of it and pause because every time that I talk about The Year of the Witching, I tell this story, but it's just like such a visceral experience in my head because I remember, like, picture this, okay? I'm a sophomore in college. I'm in an Irish ghost stories class, but the lectures like have nothing to do with our actual work. So while they're interesting, I typically am not sitting there taking notes. So instead, I have the Kindle edition of The Year of the Witching, and I just read it on my laptop every day during class. And it like blossomed such a love in me for that story. Like, I think the ambiance just in general really made that book one of my favorites of all time. But regardless of when and where I read it, I do think that it's an incredible story and everyone should read it. It's over there on my shelves. I'm not gonna go pick it up, but please read The Year of the Witching. It's so good. This is giving really similar opening vibes to that. We have kind of a dark magic. We have, there is a timer, an orphan girl and her brother. We don't really know how they ended up orphaned. We're assuming it has something to do with the dark magic that her brother has. She does not have the magic. I double checked. Her name is Violetta. Her brother's name is Arian. And they're living with this woman who has very slowly over time, she initially took them in, but she has very slowly over time become abusive and fearful of her brother's magic. At their yearly offering to like the goddess of life or whatever, the lord of their geographical area happens to be in their specific town, and he sees her brother with this dark magic and he decides that he wants to take them in. There are a lot of rumors about him being a murderer, being a really bad person. He lives in this haunted, kind of decrepit estate that's very beautiful at the same time. And he takes them to this estate to teach her brother about the magic. Violetta is obviously really concerned about these rumors, which I'm sure they're not true. I'm sure we're gonna end up like falling in love with him. He is very suspicious, but also charismatic. I'm like loving him as a character already. I'm loving her as a character, and I'm loving her brother as a character. And then the scene descriptions and the writing is just so beautiful. And I think part of the reason I'm loving the writing is that a lot of times young adult books are very obviously trying to have beautiful writing, and this book doesn't feel like a try hard. This book just feels like it is effortlessly gorgeous in the prose, and I'm just appreciating it so much. And this is like the perfect fall read. So I'm hoping that it stays on that really positive trajectory. This doesn't have the highest ratings on Goodreads ever, so you know, I'm sure there will be a couple things in here that maybe knock it down to a 4-star, but fingers crossed that it stays on this like perfect path that it's headed down right now, because I'm obsessed. I'm gonna go put my food in the oven, and then I'm gonna come back, and then we're gonna wrap up this clip because I just want to talk to you really quickly about a crochet project that I started. So I'll see you in 5 seconds. I just need to go put my food in the oven to cook. Okay, so I feel like a lot of times I will start a crochet project in a video and then I don't finish it, and then I just like won't update you on it ever again. And to be fair, a lot of those projects are still in the work. I work very slowly because I have a busy life. I'm a busy girl. But I really wanted to start and finish a project in this video. So I finally broke into this Feels Like Butter, kind of really soft, almost like a pink tinged brown, not quite like a mauve, it's definitely brown, but this Feels Like Butter Lion Brand yarn to do a project that I've been waiting to do for a long time. So it's going to be kind of confusing because I don't really have, I'm only halfway down at the panel, so I don't know how easily you're going to be able to envision it, but it's going to be really cute because I followed this pattern for sweaters before, and I'm just doing a sweater vest this time. So essentially the same thing, but no sleeves, just the front and the back panel. If I end up hating the way that the sweater vest looks, I'll just make sleeves for it, and then it can be a full sweater. But I do already have a sweater that looks exactly like this. So this is half of the front panel. So this is the bottom, this is the top, this is the neckline. So I'm about halfway through this side right now. So it's gonna look something like this, but doubled on both sides. And then it's kind of cropped, but I will wet block it so it'll be stretched out a little bit more. So I'm gonna keep you posted on this because I have just done this morning. Like, this is a super easy project. I'm using a big hook, so I should definitely be able to finish this by next weekend. I don't know if I'm gonna do ribbing for like the armholes as well. I haven't decided. We'll kind of just have to see how it looks when I stitch the front and the back panel together. But overall, super simple project. I just wanted to do this with you and feel accomplished because I actually finished something and prove to you that I can actually finish a project. I do that sometimes. I just don't always share it with you. So that's kind of the plan for the upcoming week. Want to finish this? I might pick up another audiobook. We'll see kind of what's available. I do have all of my holds held right now because I have a couple of video plans coming up that I needed very specific books for. So my holds are full, so we'll just have to see if I can find something that's just like out there and available for fun. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. So also, I did just want to say before I turn off the camera, I did move all of my plants inside. So I have my lavender in here, and then I moved all of my vines inside, and you know, so that's something I did. And I just forgot how much I love having my hanging vines on my shelves. I mean, my ivy is always in here, as I'm sure y'all know. It always gets like caught in my hair when I'm sitting in front of my shelves and talking. But to have my other vines in here is just so heartwarming and fulfilling. Hi friends, I know the lighting is not awesome, but there's just like a couple different things that I wanted to talk to you about. And now's kind of the only time I have to talk to you about those things today. So we're sitting down. I'm sorry, I know it's kind of funky. The wildfire smoke is so heavy, it's like leaving chunks of ash on top of everything. So it's actually 1 p.m. right now, but like it looks like it's nighttime. And there's just not a whole lot I can do about that besides sit right by the window and hope that the lighting isn't awful. I would have you situated this way with my desk behind me, but my desk is a mess, so bear with me, okay? First update is I'm almost done with the front panel on my sweater vest. I finished the neckline, and I just have a little bit more to do for the shoulder. This would actually be cute over this shirt, but this is basically what it's gonna look like. I'm not gonna show you guys another update until I finish this, because the back panel is gonna look exactly the same as the front panel. So unless I decide to do like ribbing or something on it, I won't be checking in with you about this again until it's finished. I also started reading a middle grade kind of dark fantasy, historical fantasy mystery type of situation. Like this book has a lot of genres, but it's really pretty simple in the execution because it's middle grade, obviously. So I'm reading Seraphina and the Black Cloak as an audiobook while I try to get stuff done this week. I'm about 50% of the way into it, and so far it's honestly so cute and so fun. Like I think if I was like 10 years old, I'd be kind of scared reading this book. Like it has some scary things going on. Seraphina's our main character, and she lives on the sprawling Vanderbilt estate, and I believe that this book is actually based on like a real location, but obviously we just have some magic sprinkled in, so that's fun. Basically, Seraphina is like the help, right? Or her father's the help, and the Vanderbilt family doesn't really even know that she exists. But one night in the house, she sees some of the Vanderbilt family is visiting, and she sees one of their children get taken by a man in a black cloak, and she's like, that is sketchy. So she sort of forms a bond with one of the boys who's about her age that lives in the house, and they're kind of going to solve this mystery. And then she also has her own kind of personal mystery about who she is and where she came from. This is like a minor spoiler, but I don't think that you guys will really care if I do minor spoilers about this book, because I doubt any of you are like, oh my gosh, this is the next book that I'm gonna read, considering it's a middle grade book. But if you don't want to hear spoilers, skip to the next clip. So Seraphina, her father isn't actually her father. He found her in the woods, and she's kind of like half creature, but we don't know what kind. But I mean, as an adult reader, it's pretty easy for me to like figure out what's going on with her. She has very cat-like qualities, and the author is doing this really fun thing where he's giving her a bunch of like feline attributes, but in a very subtle way. Like as he talks about her, he uses words that you would use to describe a cat. Like she'll be walking down the hall and he'll be like, she was slinking down the hall and she pounced on something. Like it's really fun. So I'm sure she's from some type of feline or maybe like fox descent in the woods, but she presents as a human girl. She just has some like weird attributes going on. So we're also kind of trying to figure out what's going on with that, but overall, cute, very autumnal. We just spent a large portion of the book in the woods and her kind of connecting with nature. It's autumn, there's dead leaves all over the ground. There's mountain lion cubs, which actually I don't know that mountain lions have their babies in the fall, but I feel like we're not really going based on accuracy in this book, so whatever. And then I don't have the book with me, but I do have the dust jacket. I'm gonna go grab it and we can do a little update on Lake's Edge as well. My book is still at work, but I have the dust jacket at home. I just feel weird reading fantasy at work with like a bunch of men because all of my coworkers are men. I feel weird reading fantasy at work and leaving the dust jacket on it, so I always take the dust jacket off. Well, most of the time when I read, I take the dust jacket off, but I don't even take the dust jacket to work with me when I'm reading a hardcover book. I'm like 250 pages in, so I still have like a good chunk left, but you know, I'm like 2/3 of the way through right now. And I'm honestly a little bit confused as far as the magic system goes. Basically, there are two like gods that are worshipped in this world. Wow. There's like the goddess of light and life, and then there's the god of the underworld. And I'm sort of unclear on if the god of the underworld is all bad or if he just is like the counterpart, the necessary counterpart to the Lady of Light. I don't really understand. And it's making it a little bit confusing for me for the issue that they're trying to resolve. Basically, at Lake's Edge, the lake itself is covered in a blight. And so Violetta's brother, Arian, and the like live-in, I guess she's not really a mage, maybe she is a mage, a sorceress, whatever term they're using for her in this book, and then the lord of the house himself, Rowan, are trying to undo this blight with their magic. And Violetta's being honestly a little annoying. Like, I respect it, it's not ruining the book, it's not ruining the beautiful writing, but she's just being a little annoying because, like, get over yourself, girl, your brother's fine. Like, I don't know why we're pretending that he's like 5 years old when he is like a teenage boy that can handle himself. So that's a little bit frustrating to me, just trying to get over that aspect of her personality, because her only personality trait is that she wants to protect her brother. Like, I don't know anything about this girl, who she is as a person, what she likes, what she doesn't like. Like, I know nothing about her personality, but the vibes are just immaculate in here. And I just want to be clear, I know I compared this to The Year of the Witching. That was solely based on vibes, absolutely not whatsoever at all based on plot. Maybe the opening scenes have a little bit of similarity because they're both set in like villages in the olden times and kind of a parallel universe, but other than that, like, the plots are completely different, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm being clear about that. Absolutely loving the kind of relationship that's developing between Rowan and Violetta, although again, I don't like her as a character. Honestly, I just love Rowan so much that anything that he does is like wondrous, because he's just such a great character. And I feel like Violetta needs to just get over herself. Like, I feel like she's just too full of herself and she thinks she's too good for everyone, and I kind of hate her for it, but like, it's not ruining my enjoyment of the story. So basically that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm not sure honestly how this is gonna wrap up, because again, I'm a little unclear on how the magic is working, so that makes it hard to figure out what's actually going on. And then I'm also drinking a matcha latte, and I think those are the only updates that I have for you right now. So I will check in with you when I finish a book, and that's all for now, folks. Hello my friends, it is time to wrap this video up. I did not finish my crochet project. I just want to be straight up about that. I'm going to finish it in the next vlog, I swear. But I had to kind of spontaneously drive to Spokane for work on Thursday, and obviously I couldn't do any of the normal things that I do on Thursday, so today's Saturday. I got to go like shopping and stuff when I went to Spokane. Whenever we travel for work, we get to like spend the day over wherever we go. It's kind of inconvenient because Spokane's just like a little bit too far away from me. It's like 4 hours away, and I had to go completely to the other side of Spokane to the business that I needed to go to. So it's more like 4.5 hours away. So anyway, it sort of just threw off the last stitching together part of my project because I was planning to do that Thursday evening. Then I had to go to Spokane. Yesterday I was super busy and the video needs to be done today. But when I went to Spokane, I did get some fall themed things. So before we talk about the books and kind of wrap up the discussion of this vlog on those, I just wanted to show you like the cute little fall things that I got because I stopped in at Trader Joe's. We do not have Trader Joe's in Montana anywhere. So it's always kind of a little treat to get to go over there. I know that it's just a ridiculously overpriced grocery store, but like they really do have some good stuff. So I got a lot more stuff than this, but this is like the fall specific stuff that they had, and I felt like that would be fun to share with you. So these aren't really fall themed, but like I would never buy these if it wasn't fall. Like I associate these things with like drinking tea in the fall. And so I got them. I love them. They're babies. They're minis. I haven't opened the package yet, so I don't know if they're good, but I've never had a bad one of those, so I'm hopeful. I also got this tea. I don't know if I'm gonna love it just because it sounds like there's a lot going on, but the box was so cute, and it's a harvest tea blend. It has cinnamon, ginger, hibiscus, chamomile, orange peel, apple flavor, and apparently it's going to give me unbridled joy with each sip. So cute little box, cute little fall themed box. I'm really excited to try this tea, which again, I will do in the next video that I vlog. We will continue on all of these discussions that are left open-ended. And then I got these. These are so cute. They're made out of butternut squash and they're shaped like pumpkins. It's pasta. Come on now. Novelty purchase maybe, but I feel like these are going to be really good. Again, I'll keep you posted. I'm sure that I'll make them within the next week or so. And then these things, which I've already eaten one of, so like don't judge me for the box not being all pristine and cute, but these little pumpkin mousse cakes, they're so good. They're really, really sweet, but they're really tasty. So anyway, that's my little fall Trader Joe's haul. Now let's go ahead and wrap up the books. I'm going to talk to you about Lake's Edge in just a second, but I thought we could finish talking about Serafina first since that's kind of the last thing we talked about. So I finished reading Serafina and the Black Cloak, and since we last talked, I actually also listened to the second one in the series because I put that on when I was driving to Spokane. It's a really cute series. Honestly, my library has all of the books, so I might just check them all out as audiobooks and kind of listen to them like on the down low without actually vlogging or talking about the rest of them. But overall, it's really cute, and I love when a middle grade especially is like informative. So I think I mentioned that the Vanderbilt estate is actually based on the real house, and the author was talking about in the author's note at the end of the second book how the details of the house are like exactly what the house is actually like all of the secret passageways and everything. That's like what the real house was like. And then the book also had kind of this running discussion because Serafina's father is sort of the like electrician of the house. It's set in 1899, and so electricity is pretty new in homes as far as like having a fire alarm system and having the ability to light the whole house, make the clocks work, indoor plumbing, etc., etc. And like that's all factual for the time being. So I thought that that was such a nice informative detail to have in, and I think it makes reading historical fiction really pleasant when it teaches you something in a really easy way that's not too heavy-handed. The end of the book was super cute. I'm gonna spoil it right now. Serafina's mother is a cat creature from the mountains. She can like shift between a human form and a cat creature, and she actually gets to meet her mom at the end of the book. She obviously defeats the bad guys, she solves the mystery, she does all of the little detective things, she kind of creates a bond with the forest. Again, it's very autumnal, like the feels were just so good. And the second book, I'm not going to go into any details, but that one was just as good in my opinion. That one takes place around Christmas time, so we're kind of going in chronological order throughout the year. The turn of the century is like a big theme, And it was not lacking at all for any discussions of like historical fashion, like the type of meals that were considered fancy and how gatherings of family friends from around the country kind of worked back in the good old days. And overall, I just thought it was a really pleasant reading experience. The magic was really fun. Again, it like gets dark. It gets kind of horrific for like a middle grade. For like if a 10-year-old is picking up that book, I think I would be scared. And overall, I just thought it was really well done and like a nice, enjoyable time. My brain didn't have to think too hard. I think it was just like right what I needed during this kind of last stressful week that I've had. So anyway, I'm gonna give that like 4 stars, 3.5 stars. It was good. It wasn't groundbreaking, but again, I'm not the audience for it, so I don't think my rating really matters. But it was cute. So if you like middle grade and it sounds good, I think you should pick it up. And then I did finish Lake's Edge. I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I'm sad that it's not a 5-star, but there were just some things in here that are preventing me from giving it that full 5-star rating. Namely, this author starts to get very repetitive in her descriptions. I appreciate the imagery that she's using in here. The writing was beautiful all the way through the end. Like, I really enjoyed the prose of the story, the descriptive scenes. This is definitely a story that I think you should pick up if you like vibes more than plot, because I feel like the plot kind of got thrown on the back burner, honestly, towards the second half of the book. I feel like we sort of abandoned explaining the magic to just focus on the ethereal vibes. I don't know. Violetta remains kind of an insufferable character throughout. And again, I don't think that bad characters ruin books, but I do think it dampens your reading experience when you're supposed to like the character and you're supposed to root for the character and you end up hating them and not wanting them to be successful in anything that they're doing. I thought that she would kind of grow out of that as she became more worldly and less sheltered, but that was not the case. Very full of herself all the way to the end of the book, and it was kind of annoying. But anyway, back to what I was saying about the descriptions. The author is really fond of describing like the smells of the woods and the house and the whatever, but she uses like the same 3 adjectives every single time. And the same thing for like the taste of anything. She'll be like, it tasted like blood and silt and ash. It smelled like blood and silt and ash. Like, I swear I read those exact sentences probably at least 50 times in this book. I'm like, can we get a little variety? Like, not everything is gonna smell like blood and silt and ash. I don't know. I am intrigued about where the end of this book went, but I don't care enough to pick up the next book in the series. Like, I might, once I finish reading every single other book on my TBR, be interested in picking up the second one to kind of see how everything wraps up in this world. The storyline that sets up at the end was really, really interesting. And this like maybe is a minor spoiler, but I'm not going to go into any details. This is sort of morphing into, I would say in the last 100 pages, sort of a twisted retelling of Persephone. Like, pomegranates become very present in here, blood sacrifices, and our main girlie having a bond with the god of the underworld, even if she doesn't really support what he's doing. The kind of last big thought that I have about this is that it's definitely on the more adult side of young adult, and I think that this book could have been a lot more successful if it was an adult book, because I feel like it was bordering on a lot of like dark things, right? And also some like smut a little bit. It was fade to black, so I mean still young adult, but like the implications were there. So this is definitely like, I would rate this PG-13, but I feel like the concepts in here and the scenes that the author was trying to create could have been better had this been able to delve into those topics with a little bit more detail, and maybe a little bit more maturity. I think that this would have been more successful. So on that front, I have a little bit of mixed feelings about this, but overall it's still really solid. Like I said, if you are reading for the feeling of fall, this is a great choice. If you are reading to get a deep character exploration or a deep plot exploration and development, I don't think you're gonna get this from that. I'm still glad I read this. I still had a fun time. It fit perfectly into the mood of the video. So I think those were kind of all the thoughts that I wanted to share with you guys, and we can now close out the video. Thanks so much for being here, for supporting my channel, for hanging out with me today. Let me know if you have any fall book recommendations. I'm always open. Most of the books on my shelves actually that I haven't read are fall type books. So chances are if you have a recommendation, I might have it on my shelves. Please leave it in the comments. Thanks so much once again. I will see you guys with a new video next week. Bye.